Graphic video of the incident shows an officer pulling Garner to the ground by the neck and then holding his head against the pavement. He repeatedly says he cannot breathe.
Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people.
Back up.
Right here.
Back up and get on that step.
Okay.
It is this story of the video. I mean, this weekend the news comes out of the ruling of homicide. You know, Eric Garner, Staten Island man, standing in front of a store when the police move in on him. They had a very different story in their report. They said that they never mentioned chokehold. They said he was in no distress. But this video shows something very different. This young man, Ramsey Orta, just stood there filming and shows the entire encounter, and this is what has led to an outcry across this country. But he, after the homicide ruling, is then arrested. Talk about the significance of this, of being able to see what took place.
Oh, it's crucial. Without the video, the Eric Garner story would be totally different. We've seen it over and over again, the police version and the people's version. And the beauty of the video is that it speaks to the truth. And it becomes difficult for the people in power, especially law enforcement, to spin the story. And therefore, I encourage and urge people all across this country, take out your smartphone, and when you see police that you believe are violating someone's civil rights, record it. And then the story will be different, and then maybe we can get accountability finally over law enforcement.
Well, Deborah, you did this. You filmed police last year, and you were arrested. Can you tell us your story?
Yes, I was coming out of the subway, and I crossed the street, and I noticed a woman who appeared homeless in a wheelchair talking to a couple of EMT guys.
You're a legal secretary?
I was a legal secretary. I'm retired now. And so I noticed this woman talking to two EMTs, and I walked a little bit further, and I saw 3 police standing by a police van. So I walked a little bit further, about 10 feet past them, and I just turned around and began to film what was going on. And as I was filming, as I was attempting to film, an officer approached me, and he held his smartphone up as if he was going to film me. And I tried to explain to him that he didn't have that right because he was a police officer on duty, and I had the right. And then we had some words, and he asked me for some ID, and I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong, so I refused. And he told me I was under arrest, grabbed my wrist, put handcuffs on me, threw me in the van like a piece of meat, a police van, and I was detained for approximately 25 hours, including going to central booking and other places in shackles and handcuffs behind my back. And because I have had a lot of tissue removed due to breast cancer surgery, having the handcuffs behind my back caused terrible pain. And I mentioned this several times, and nothing was done about it. And then, you know, approximately 25 hours later, I was arraigned, and I had to appear at criminal court 5 separate times, at which times I was offered the same thing, and I didn't want to plead or take any deal. And so finally, after 5 visits to criminal court, the charges were dismissed.
How many states, and how many states is it actually illegal to film the police, Norman Siegel?
Well, it's really confusing. We have in the federal system trial courts, Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Supreme Court. The First Circuit, which is basically the Northeast, the Seventh Circuit, which is Midwest, and the 11th Circuit, which is the Southeast, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. Those courts have said there is a constitutional right to do what Deborah did. The Third Circuit, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Fourth Circuit, Virginia, North Carolina, that area, they say no. So Deborah's case that we filed...
So states are saying, and states also in legislation are saying it is not legal in the police unless the police consent.
Well, a lot of the states haven't addressed the issue. In the absence of law saying you have a right, there's usually not a right. In New York, for example, Our Second Circuit has not addressed this issue, and therefore Deborah's case could be very important and maybe historic, because maybe it winds up eventually in the U.S. Supreme Court, because there's the division between the circuits, and then usually the U.S. Supreme Court gets this. People say to me, oh, but the Supreme Court is conservative. I think everyone, liberals and conservatives, should support the right of people to record the police when they're interacting with people, providing that they don't interfere with the police doing their job.